Welcome to the Full Audio Books Short Stories channel. The author, Sandy Ingram, holds the print, digital and audio rights.
The FBI's Secret Recruits. Short story by Sandy Ingram. Jeff woke up on the first day after his honeymoon. He immediately thought of Laura, his new wife, who was absent from her side of the bed. He couldn't believe he married her. He knew his marriage was based on a lie, yet he desperately wanted the marriage to work. It was like he was in a daze during the entire wedding and honeymoon. He knew his wife secretly worked for the FBI, and now he too would become an employee of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Not because he wanted to, but because he had to. Jeff thought about his childhood. He was exceptionally bright and learned how to computer code at the early age of 12. His mother was overly concerned with his obsession with computers. She knew her son wanted to attend college more than anything else, and she also knew they didn't have the money. While working 2 jobs, Mrs. Sewell did her best to attend to her son and keep up with his actions outside of school. While in high school, Jeff spent most of his time building apps to sell online. The sales from his apps weren't nearly enough to pay for college. Each day, his goal of going to college seemed to disappear. His hunger for education was overwhelming, yet college didn't seem to be an option until he turned his thoughts to illegal activities. Jeff created a malware to access web users' information when they logged into certain financial accounts. The malware didn't work for all accounts, but worked well enough for him to access over 310,000 accounts, from credit unions to small financial institutions around the world. Although he was young at the time, Jeff was mature for his age. He knew if he got caught, he would go to juvenile hall and most likely never get to go to college. During Jeff's illegal spree, he managed to collect and save over $90,000 for college. He stole 10 cents from over 300,000 financial accounts for 3 months. It was easy for him. It was never his intention to continue his life of crime. He only wanted enough money to attend college and pay for room and board. Before Jeff left for college, his mother insisted that he tell her where and how he got the money. Jeff assured his mother that he did some work online and was paid. Jeff's first year of college was such a gloom. He felt guilty about how he got the money to enroll in college. It was during the last half of his second year of college that he met Laura. They spent hours talking about computer hacking, tricks, and shortcuts. Laura was full of color and happiness, and her positive attitude rubbed off on Jeff. She helped him forget his feelings of guilt, and there was no doubt he always wanted to be in her life. In Jeff's mind, Laura was his perfect mate. Smart, cute, and a total computer nerd with serious hacking abilities. They'd sit for hours coding apps and exchanging ideas. Shortly after he began dating Laura, the FBI requested an on-campus interview with Jeff. The Federal Bureau of Investigation had questions about Jeff's online activities. He was sure the FBI couldn't pin anything on him. He never did any of his hacking on his home computer. He was reasonably sure there was no way they could have tracked him. The FBI interview was a concern for Jeff. After all, he was guilty of stealing $90,000 from other people's accounts. It wasn't something he was proud of, and there were times when he felt extreme and uncomfortable moments of guilt. The interview with the FBI was held in the dean's office on campus. The two agents asked questions about Jeff's online activities and how familiar he was with firewalls for banks. Jeff answered their questions without hesitation. One agent was older, and Jeff could tell he was in charge, but he didn't know anything about coding or hacking. The younger man, probably a new FBI recruit, he knew plenty. Jeff's biggest question was, why was the FBI talking to him? He felt comfortable enough during the interview to ask, and the answer surprised him. One of your mother's friends was a person of interest. We'd been watching him, your mother, and you for some time, said the older man. When you accumulated over $80,000 in an offshore bank account, we believed it to be our suspect's money. The look on Jeff's face must have shown fear. The older FBI agent continued, "Don't worry, your mom told us that one of her lovers paid for your first 2 years of college, but we still had to interview you." The younger guy looked at Jeff with a grin on his face and said, "Jeff, what if the FBI pays for your last 2 years of college and you come and work for us?" Jeff knew the FBI knew the truth, but for some reason, they couldn't put the case together, or they didn't want to. Laura tells us you're a great guy, and she recommends you work with the FBI when you graduate. Jeff froze. He realized they were toying with him. Jeff managed to stay cool and replied, "Sure." They didn't have to tell him that his mother gave an alibi for the money. Mentioning Laura was supposed to upset him, and it did. He gave his future to the FBI without a second thought. He agreed to work with the FBI if they paid for his last 2 years of college. The FBI had to know he had over $40,000 in his bank account. The interview ended, and Jeff returned to class. Laura wasn't in class, and he fully never expected to see her again. There was a pain in his chest. He liked Laura. He wondered how she could betray him. Losing her wasn't going to be easy. Later that same day, Laura showed up at Jeff's apartment. Jeff was surprised, elated, and angry all at the same time. He kept waiting for her to say something, but she never did, and neither did he. Was she an FBI informant or an FBI agent? Jeff decided not to ask. He didn't want to have a conversation about his illegal activities. He didn't want to lose Laura. For the next 2 years, Jeff and Laura were inseparable. He asked Laura to marry him during the last year of college. She said yes. Jeff never asked her about her ties with the FBI, and she never said. Either way, he was willing to ride the lie all the way to the altar. Perhaps one day she'd tell him the truth, or maybe one day he would ask her. Laura suddenly showed up at the bedroom door with a tray of coffee and croissants. She had a worried look on her face, and somehow Jeff knew it was time for the talk. Laura confirmed she was an FBI agent who needed more technical training. She enrolled in college for a second time and graduated along with Jeff and his classmates. Now she really did know more about hacking, computers, programming, and computer security. Laura asked in a soft voice, "Do you want a divorce?" Jeff chuckled. "Why would I want a divorce? We've only been married for 2 weeks." You must never speak about our marriage at your work. I didn't exactly tell the FBI that we were getting married, Laura said in a soft voice. Jeff said nothing. He didn't tell Laura that the new FBI recruit ratted her out. His FBI training was scheduled, but first he was assigned as a consultant to help the cybercrime office in New York City with corporate hackers who stole client information and blackmailed the corporation for 7 figures to remain silent. Nowadays, when Jeff meets another highly talented cyber agent, he wonders if they too were manipulated into working for the FBI.
If you enjoy the short stories created for Sandy's YouTube channel, please subscribe and hit the bell to be notified when new audiobooks are uploaded.